Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Um, Welcome to the final live stream of 2024. In this video, I want to kind of just take a moment to sort of reflect on 2024, the good, the bad, um, things I was able to accomplish, things I wasn't able to accomplish, and then sort of look forward to and sort of game plan my 2025. And I've got like a list of like 10 things that I want to do, not just with myself, but also with the YouTube channel and my website and my career. And, just what I always find is that I have a hard time sort of like consolidating my thoughts. And so when I sit and like sort of quantize things down to like a list of 10 things I want to do or want to do better, I find that I have an easier time accomplishing those things. Um, so, 2024 was a pretty good year, in retrospect, like compared to like 2020, 2021, and 2022. Those are pretty rough years for me, but 2024 has been pretty good. I was shocked when I got my yearly recap and that I did 132 uploads, 132 videos, which is crazy because I didn't think I did nearly that many. That's like one video every 2.7 days. So I was actually pretty shocked to see that I did that many. And by the way, happy New Year's Eve to everyone watching, whether you're watching it now or watching it later. It will be recorded if you can't catch it now. Happy New Year's Eve to most of you, and Happy New Year if you're like in Australia or New Zealand or somewhere, out in the Pacific right now. It's already 2025 there. I'm in Florida, so I'm in like the Eastern U.S. time zone. So I've got I've got a little bit of time here. So yeah, 2024 was generally speaking a good year for the YouTube channel. 132 uploads. Very happy for that. I didn't think that I had that many. 3.4 million views, 20,000 new subscribers. So, we're moving along. Like I don't I don't generally like try to like front load my content with like and subscribe and that kind of thing, because I would rather have like slow organic growth rather than like quick growth where people subscribe and then a couple months later they unsubscribe. I'd rather it be more organic. So 20,000 new subscribers in a year is pretty damn good. It could be more, but I'm not obsessing about subscriber counts these days. Just for those of you who thank you, everyone. Happy New Year, everyone. And yeah, I mean, really, the main thing I have to thank is you guys. The main folks I have to thank for the success in the channel is you guys. From the bottom of my heart, I could not have done this without you. And it's not one of those things where like getting to like 1 million subscribers would be great, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. I don't know that there are even 1 million people using Logic Pro, you know what I mean? Or in this sort of space, it's kind of a niche space to begin with. So, we'll see where this goes. And I have some ideas for some new content for the new year that may help, branch out a bit. But still the tutorials and the streams are going to be my main sort of bread and butter. For those of you who don't know how the channel got started, I'll tell you the story real quick, and I'll be really quick about it. I started the channel in 2011, and I didn't really upload much in that first year. It wasn't until like 2012 when I started like kind of regularly uploading, and it was really when Logic 10 came out that the channel kind of blew up, because I did a review on Logic 10, and a ton of people watched it, and then from there, I was able to go from like 10,000 subscribers to like 100,000 subscribers fairly quickly. I think I hit 100,000 in like 2014. And the whole reason why the channel got started is at the time in 2011, in 2010, I moved down to Florida, to Tampa to teach at a college down here. And I was teaching these like 2-day a week long, like 4-hour classes. And so, some of the concepts we were talking about, especially when it came to like sampling and sample programming and editing and stuff that like you have to repeat it to like really internalize it. Those sorts of things I noticed that my students were getting lost on. I would only have so much time in class to show them how to do something, and then they, half of them would forget it. So what I did is I started like making a list of all of like the topics, like the things that I found the students were having trouble with, and I started making videos out of those things. I was also teaching music theory at the time, and I was teaching a piano class. I was teaching music history. I was teaching like essentially like a music appreciation class that you would take at like a typical like community college. That's really where the YouTube channel got started. The first videos were like Logic 8 and Logic 9 tutorials and some music theory tutorials and things like that. And then it just kind of blew up and it became its own thing. By the way, if my nose is like red, it's because I like accidentally popped myself in the face right before I got on stream. So, I've been in academia. I've been in higher education since I was 23 years old. I started as a graduate teaching assistant when I was getting my master's degree, and I was teaching intro to music technology courses. And then I've been involved in higher education from then all the way up until this year, until 2024, when I quit my full-time job and I just went rogue. And now I've been fully 100% self-employed since March of this year. And I've been kind of on and off. I've been teaching, as an adjunct professor here and there, and over the years. But yeah, I think I'm looking at like 14 years in higher. No, how much would that be? 7. Yeah. So I'm looking at like, if you include my time as a teaching assistant, like 17 years, 16 years in higher education. And, I finally got to a point, I was working as a program manager for a fairly well-known online music and audio and music production school. And, don't get me wrong, I love teaching. I've always loved teaching. But it's all the other stuff that I don't like. It's the paperwork and the bureaucracy and the management and all that kind of stuff. And so I just kind of got sick of that. And I also I found myself at a point this year where I was like, actually, this kind of goes back to last year. I found myself at a point where I'm going to be 40 next year. I have all these goals and aspirations that I want to do and grow my business, but I only have so much space up here. You know what I mean? There's only so many priorities that you can prioritize in your brain before you like run out of room. And that's the way my brain works. Like I can only fit so much stuff in there. And so I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this. Like I need 8 days a week in order to get work done and still like feel like I have a weekend and feel like I have some time off. So earlier this year in March, me and my wife moved into a new house. We downsized a little bit. It's a little cheaper here in this house than the last house. The last house we were in, the old home studio, looks very similar to this one. The room does, because the arrangement is the same. And I had made a video about that earlier this year, but we downsized a little bit just to kind of save some money and simplify things. We moved a little closer to my wife's work, and I quit my full-time job. And I have to say it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made, just because I was going crazy, man. I was literally working 6 to 7 days a week, sometimes doing 10, 12-hour days or longer. I was constantly behind on things, and that's something I want to get away from in 2025. I've kind of already taken some steps to fix that, but I always found myself like I'm always behind on work, and I hate that feeling. Like I try to plan, but it doesn't always, it doesn't always pan out because it's just there's physically not enough hours in the day or enough days in the week to get the everything done. So I decided to kind of move away from academia and focus on YouTube, my website, logicproguide.com, and some other contract work. For this year, I have two main contract gigs. I've been working for a company called Ska, SKAA. They're a wireless audio company. I manage their YouTube channel, and then I'm doing some contract work with Boombox with these live streams. Although this stream is not technically sponsored, all of the listening live streams are sponsored by Boombox, and that's allowed me to kind of step away from the academia, higher ed management, which, again, don't get me wrong, I love teaching and I have nothing but great things to say about all the instructors and students I've worked with over the years, but I just didn't have enough time for it up here, not enough space for it up here. So I've gotten out of academia for that reason and other reasons, like I'll straight up tell everyone, like when I got out of music school with 2 degrees, I had almost $90,000 worth of student loans. And to this day, I'm still paying like about $1,000 a month on these loans. And I think I still have like 60, 70 grand left. So it's one of those things where I saw a problem with at least the education system here in the US where there's like too many people trying to get into this industry and not enough jobs to support it. And I just, when I say kids, but when these kids get out of college with their bachelor's or associate's degree, they end up, with $20,000, $30,000 in student loans or more. And it's real tough, it's tough because I don't want to be, I don't want to be complicit in someone else's lifelong debt because I've been through it. And I'm still, like I said, I'm still to this day paying almost $1,000 a year or a month in my student loans. Jeremy asks, what advice do you have give to music technology teachers like myself as far as teaching approaches? One approach that always worked for me was to make things modular. Like each week would be like a module, and that week would have a specific set of topics, like presentation topics, like presentation and demonstration. But then I would always set aside time at the end of class or maybe the second day of each week. I would do like a lab day where I would make them do it hands-on because like I'm the same way. Like if I don't do it myself, I'm not going to remember it later. I can watch someone do it. I can have someone explain it to me. So I always did that, and I always put everything online. I always whatever your college or your school's portal is, I would always, put all the resources they need up there for the students to recap, and, again, not to sound like I'm saying anything bad about college students, but it's actually funny because I find that people who are like self-taught in this industry tend to be more motivated to go and do it and learn it because they truly want it. Whereas I think some college students, like they get in and they think they want it, but then they realize how difficult the industry is to get into and how technical it is too. It's like one half creativity and like one half like technical jargon and troubleshooting. And for a lot of people, those two, like that left brain, right brain kind of clashing is an issue for some people, and I think they end up realizing it in their first or second year of college and like, maybe I should have, done a different major, or maybe I should have gone into something else. And there's nothing wrong with deciding to change, if you are a student and you're thinking about, there's nothing wrong with changing your career path. I mean, I did it 3 times in college. So yeah, I've kind of moved away from academia for those reasons, just, I'm not saying you shouldn't have music schools or audio or music production schools. I'm not saying that at all. There's certainly merit to it, but you have to kind of think about the future and how are you going to manage to pay those $400-500 a month student loan bills, which I certainly didn't think about. I wasn't able to like when I got out of college, I was like, okay, here's an $800 bill. And I was like, what, so it was kind of a shock to me. Jeremy, one of my other struggles as an audio engineer is to learn how to communicate with clients without using technical words. Yeah. One thing I think I'm really good at, and I'll pat myself on the back for, is I think I'm pretty good at breaking things down in a simplified way. And, I don't mean that you have to teach to the lowest common denominator, but I try to use plain language. I've never been a fan of professors and instructors who just they're all technical and they're speaking over your head the entire time. Like some of the best educators I've ever had were ones that could break things down to me at just a human level, and show you like, here's the application for it. And sometimes I get caught up in this too, where I get caught up in the weeds of how something works, and I don't focus enough on like, what can you actually do with this? Like what's a scenario where you would actually use something. So, AJ, what advice would you give to ADHDers to efficiently make a schedule to put the same knowledge in their head you have in yours? Theory, audio engineering, songwriting. I am like probably truly the worst person to talk to about scheduling and time management, because frankly, I'm actually pretty damn horrible at time management. What I do is I make lists of everything. Like even like, I'll show you, like I have a little app called Do It, and it's just like a to-do app, and I just like, here's everything I needed to do yesterday, and I didn't finish everything. Well, actually this is today and yesterday. But I even like little things like running my robot vacuum, I make a note for, because I will very, very easily forget that was something I have to do. If I don't write it down. So the thing that I've always done is I make lists every single day. I make a list when I sit down at my desk to work. I make a list and I try to finish everything on the list. Sometimes I fail to do so, but I do try. And the thing is, getting back to like being self-employed again, this is actually like the second time I've tried to be self-employed. The first time I kind of failed, just because things were pretty rough in my life at that time. But this time it's a completely different story. Like I quit my full-time job back in I didn't quit. The school I was working at shut down, unfortunately. But back in 2016, I think. Yeah. And then I spent all of 2017, most of 2017, trying to get ahead being self-employed, and it just didn't work, so I ended up taking a full-time job again and getting back into academia. But it's different this time. Things are a lot better this time. So yeah, I'm really happy that I'm able to like support myself 100% with contract work and mixing work and course sales and YouTube. And, to be fair, like YouTube revenue is down across the board. So I'm like forever grateful to everyone who's purchased a course or, made a donation or something like that, or subscribes to Patreon or whatever. And actually we'll talk more about Patreon. I'm probably going to be closing down my Patreon, but we'll talk more about that later. Other things I started doing this year, I started investing. Started getting into investing into ETFs, which are just like index funds. I'm not like an expert on this kind of stuff, but I've been like actively trying to take like 5 or 6% of all of my course sales, and I take that money and I stick it in an investment account, because I've been pretty bad with money in the past. Like as I always tell my wife, I'm pretty good at making money. I'm just really freaking horrible at managing it, which is why my wife manages all of our bills now, because she's 10 times better at it than I am. Started investing, tried to be, smarter with my money. One of the things that again, a thing I didn't realize when I did it, when I first started Kearney Media Group and formed it as an LLC, it's pretty easy to form a small business, but then tax time comes along and you have to pay business taxes. And, this past year, I think I still owed $10,000 in business taxes, which I'm still paying off. So this is like the first year where I've actually been setting money aside for next year so that I can actually like pay my tax bill on time. So yeah, there's that. LogicProGuide.com. I started the new website. Let me pull that up here. Started the new website. That's doing really well. Trying to sell just like an all-inclusive place to sell courses. I put the name Ultimate Guide to Logic Pro up there because my original plan was to like have just an ongoing series, but once Logic 11 came out, it kind of, it threw a wrench in that. But what I will say is having a dedicated website like this has really been helpful, and the courses have been selling really well. And one of the things I want to do, one of the things I do want to do in the future is expand the website, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Jeremy asks, would you ever consider making tutorials on other software like RX11? Yeah, I have RX11. I did some videos on RX10 when it came out. I do want to branch out, but it's, again, it's a time issue. If I put out, if I did like an RX video, I would much rather do like an RX course, like a breakdown of each of the plugins within RX. So yeah, if there's enough people who want to see that, I'm more than happy to do it, or make a whole course out of it. Sometimes I struggle with coming up with individual ideas. And again, because of my background in education, I've done tons of course planning and course development over the years. And sometimes I have an easier time building a course than I do a few, scattered ideas, because from beginning to end, the course makes more sense to me, But yeah, I'll consider it. So Logic Pro Guide, that was one of my other big accomplishments this year that I'm really proud of. Now, I want to talk a little about, and just kind of, again, almost like a check-in with you guys, just to let you know how things are going and where I want to go from here. In 2025, what I've done, or for 2025, what I've done is I've created a list of 10 goals that I want to achieve. And then this time next year, I'll check in with y'all again and see how many of those I actually managed or even got close to. Even if I don't accomplish a goal 100%, if I sort of chip away at it, that's better than nothing. And like I said, with making lists and staying organized and all that kind of stuff, I find that if I put things down and like I reflect on it like I'm doing in this video, I have a better time of actually accomplishing it. Whereas if it's just kind of out there and I haven't written it down or haven't spoken about it much, I just don't, I forget it. You know what I mean? So my number one, and these are in no particular order, but number one, with YouTube, I want to have a more consistent upload schedule. Like I said, I was actually quite shocked that I had one video every 2.7 days this year, which I'm shocked by that because there were definitely a couple of months where I had like no tutorials. There was like definitely over the summer, I had a couple of months where there was like nothing, So what in a perfect world, what I'd love to do is like build courses in advance and then have them ready to go and then upload one video every single day and then offer, the option to buy it early from the website, as opposed to doing ads and sponsorships, which is point number 2. We'll get to that in a second. I want to create more videos in advance, but it's not feasible because I've been doing a lot of production work. Like I finished 3 songs yesterday. I got 9 more I'm working on. Then I have a band I'm mixing. I have 4 of their songs, and that's all due by like mid-January. So production-wise, I have a lot of work, which is really great because I love that. That's the kind of work I love the most, that and teaching. So it definitely it makes it difficult for me to like backload all of my videos and get them, out on a routine schedule. But what I'd like to do, and it again, this is probably going to be the hardest goal for me to achieve, is I would like to have um, a tutorial, a full length tutorial, like twice a week, and then a live stream on Fridays. I'm not quitting those. Our next live listening live stream will be this Friday, and I'll put a link up for that tomorrow. And then the other 2 days, fill that with like shorts content. And I've been trying really hard to work smarter, not harder, because I've always been one of these people where I work harder. I don't know why. I do it the hard way sometimes, and until I finally get frustrated with the hard way, and then I change it up. And I've been using like this AI app that will like I'll give it like a minute long clip of me teaching something in a tutorial video, because sometimes I'll have like a 20-minute video and there's like one little 2-minute segment that's like a little nugget of knowledge that could be presented as its own video. And so what I'll do is I'll clip out just that one section, I feed it into this AI app, and it auto crops and positions everything, and even puts the words up on the screen, like puts the CCs up on the screen for me. So I've been trying to work smarter in ways like that, because even the shorts, I was spending too much time editing, and that's really what it comes down to. I'm a slow editor. I'm pretty good at coming up with ideas, pretty good at scripting them, recording them. Not so great at the editing. I'm pretty good at editing. I'm slow with the editing. Yeah, Timber Serpent, trying to find consistency by making some music every day and posting it in January. Yeah, I'm the same way. That's one of my other goals, is I want to write more music, because originally what got me into music and what made me love music was just writing music. As a kid, I sat down at my grandma's piano and started playing it, and I was like 6, and I just started like plunking around in the keys and being like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. That sounds kind of cool. I knew nothing about the theory of it. I never had a formal piano lesson at that point in time. And I just, I started playing around with different, I discovered what a triad was, by mistake. And then I started playing around with music. I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I started a band. And then that's what really, got like composing and writing is what really got me into music and audio. And I would like to do more of that in the future, but that's another point as well. The number 2, so number 1 is just more consistent upload schedule moving forward. Number 2, you guys will really be happy about. I want to get rid of not all, but almost all sponsored tutorial videos on the channel, like almost none. Because for the last couple of years, I've been doing the Boombox sponsorships on just about every tutorial video. And you guys have been very like kind about them, because I know some people just can't, they see an ad and they immediately click away. But these days, almost every YouTuber I watch has an ad in every single video. And it's just because YouTube ad revenue sucks. It doesn't pay out the way it used to. And so, but what I've also found is that because of the FCC rules here in the US, and I'm sure they have similar rules in other countries, you have to mark that a video is sponsored. You have to declare in advance that it has a paid sponsorship or placement in it. And I think what's happened is, because every single video I was checking that box, it's legally I'm obligated to. Every time I check that box, I think the video's not being fed as well to the people's feeds, or it's not being pushed as much because it's already a sponsored video. So, why would we prioritize ads on a video that already has a sponsor? So I totally get that. And I think that has been detrimental in terms of like the number of views I'm actually getting on videos. So starting, it's actually already started, but like 2025, you will not see any, you'll not see almost any, if any, sponsored ads running on tutorial videos. The only ads you'll see are the YouTube ads, and then the Friday streams are sponsored by Boombox. If there's a particular company that I really want to, yeah, YouTube Premium. Yeah, I pay for YouTube Premium as well. And if you pay for YouTube Premium, a cut of that goes to the people that you watch the most. So that's why I have it as well. Just because I watch YouTube like TV. You know, I watch YouTube more than I watch TV. Ross, my revenue went from 6K to 400. Oh yeah. Oh geez. So my channel Ross the Music Teacher basically died because I hadn't much incentive. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. My ad revenue has gone down by like about 60% since like 2020 and 2021, which it was at its peak. And I know part of that's just because people were home and watching YouTube during COVID, but yeah, it's definitely gone down, and I'm not complaining. You know, I've been able to establish other things, other sources of revenue like Logic Pro Guide and the courses and all that. When it comes to sponsors, though, like I get probably 3 to 5 emails every single week from potential sponsors, and some of them are just like complete bullshit things that have nothing to do with music production, like Ridge Wallet or, you know, Raycons. Like, yeah, I'm gonna sell you like some crappy earbuds, you know, when you can on a channel where we all use like professional, you know, over-ear headphones, or Raid Shadow Legends or BetterHelp, you know, like they've all reached out to me for ads, but if it's not something that I think the audience is going to even be interested in, I just don't see a point to it, you know? And the same thing kind of goes for reviews as well. Like I get approached about doing a lot of equipment reviews. And honestly, a review video takes me twice as long to make than a tutorial, and tutorials do better, you know? So with reviews, I've been kind of taking a step back from them and only just doing certain ones. Like Lewitt is a great company. I didn't even review this mic. They just sent it to me, and it's been in video, and I think they're fine with that. You know, Lewitt's been really good to work with. Bear Dynamic has been really good to work with. And a few other select companies have been really great to work with for reviews. Doesn't the YouTube algorithm demand more and more content all the time? Yeah, if you don't upload regularly, it's going to stunt the growth of your channel, and it's almost like starting over again. A couple times throughout the last few years, I've had like 1 or 2 full months go by before I uploaded a video, just because I was so busy with other things. And I saw like my engagement just tank during those times. And you almost have to spend the next 2 months being regular in your uploads to kind of make up for it. That's the way it's always been for me. But I will say I'm very happy that I've never been one of these YouTubers that constantly create like clickbait titles to drive engagement. Because the way I see it is, if every single video is a clickbait title, like I try to make the titles more engaging now, you know, instead of just saying Logic Pro Part 5 quick swipe comping, you know what I mean? Like that's the way I would like to title all my videos. But I've been trying the ones that are not part of a series. I try to just, you know, I try to be a little more creative with the titles, but I don't like going full clickbait, because it's, you know, like when I see Logic tutorials that are like, this one video will show you everything you need to know about Logic Pro, or master Logic Pro in 1 hour, you know, that's complete, you know, that's complete shit. You know, I don't do titles like that, because it may get you more engagement in the short term, but I think long term people are who subscribe and they see enough of those clickbaity titles, they're gonna bail. So I would rather, like I said before, I'd rather have slow growth that is honest and is steady and is organic than try to push, engagement. Let's see. Yeah, AI music tools. I mean, some of them are cool, some of them aren't, but like, you know, I'm not using many of them. You know, I'm really not. I like the one, like, it would be really cool if there was like an app or like a feature built into, you know, a DAW where you could search for any kind of sound and it would just like spit out a synth patch, or like a synth patch is easy because a synth is, you're just turning knobs, you're not generating audio. But like imagine like Splice, but just being able to type in it whatever you want and you get a bunch of AI generated loops and samples and things like that. That would be really cool. And I know there are apps like that, but the I think the problem is the source material that they're drawing from is a little iffy. And then the other thing is that if you read the fine print with a lot of these, the material that you generate, you don't actually own. It's almost like because like the one I tried out one time, it was like a sort of like a loop generator. It also spits out a license for you because basically you don't own that audio. Whereas if you grab a loop from Logic, you don't own the loop, but you have the right to use it. So anyway, that's that. So number 2, no more ads, no more sponsored segments and tutorials, or very few. You know, if Bear Dynamic comes to me and says, hey, I want you to check out this XYZ product, I probably still will. If it's something that's, if Apple wants to sponsor me, fine, or if YouTube wants to sponsor me or Google, fine. I'm not going to turn those down, but you're not going to see any or almost no ads in any of my videos anymore, except for the streams. So number 3 for me is become more solid financially. I'm not doing that bad off, but like there's this idea that like influencers and YouTubers are like rich people. I'm just a regular dude living in a regular size house. I still have a car bill, and I still have 2 auto loans. I'm still paying off my student loans. I'm not a high roller. I never have been. And even if I had more money, I probably wouldn't be much more of a high roller than I am now. So that's just not the way I am. When I say become more solid financially, it's more, going back to what I was talking about before, when you start an LLC, like it's actually very easy to start your own, business. It's actually quite easy to start your own business, start an LLC, at least in the US, you start an LLC in your state, you register your LLC, you pay a fee, and then you get an EIN number, which is like your tax ID number. And then if you're like me and you're a single member LLC, I have no other employees except for myself, I can actually file my business taxes along with my personal taxes and my joint taxes with my wife. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you tax advice. But getting a business up and running is pretty easy. The benefit of having an LLC as opposed to being like just an individual is I can claim expenses like plugins that I buy, subscription fees, gear that I buy, cables, like, buying a new hard drive. All these things are considered like, office supplies or, tech that's used for your job. If anytime I buy a new computer, I claim that on my taxes as well. The tricky thing, and what I was saying before, this past year, I owed, after all was said and done, and both me and my wife's W-2s were entered with the taxes we had already paid, plus my business income, I still owed $10,000. And that is after a whole bunch of write-offs for software and gear I had bought that year, business expenses. So, I mean, if it wasn't for the write-offs, I probably would have owed a heck of a lot more. But $10,000 to pay off one payment a month is a lot. So what I'm trying to do is try to run the money side of the business better so that when tax time comes, I've already either paid my business taxes quarterly, and that money's already there, or I already have it in a savings account or an investment account where I can just withdraw that money and put at least a big chunk of that tax money down. Bradley asks, why not a sole proprietorship? I'm thinking of switching from single member LLC to sole proprietorship. A single member LLC and a sole proprietorship from a tax from a tax standpoint, are depending on your state, is basically identical. Me being a single member LLC and me being a sole proprietor is essentially the same from a tax standpoint. I don't think there's any added benefit. I think you do get benefit with just the idea of a limited liability company or corporation, because if your business goes under for whatever reason, if your company files for bankruptcy, your personal finances are not necessarily going to have to be used. But if you're like me and all of your income comes from the LLC, they're kind of tied together whether I want them to be or not. Like, I'm not at a point where I'm cutting myself a paycheck, which I would like to get to. That kind of fits under this category. I would like to be able to cut myself a regular paycheck instead of just waiting for, invoices to come in. Yeah. So, sole proprietor, you're personally responsible for everything. Yeah, exactly. You're legally and financially responsible for everything. So LLC gives you some additional protections. It also gives you the ability to hire people a little bit easier at some point if the business does grow. But my understanding is once you hire a person beyond yourself, you're no longer a single member LLC, and you can't file your business taxes with your personal taxes anymore. So it makes things a little bit more complicated. Brendan says, I've owned a graphic design business for 4 years. My accountant has made me make an estimated quarterly tax payment. Yeah, I need to start doing that. And that's definitely one of the things on point number 3 here is I want to get ahead enough in the business, because I started the LLC in 2017. I've been doing work as a sole proprietor for a decade prior to that. But once I started my my LLC, I have not really quite gotten to the point where it's like profitable. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like a net zero. It's like I'm breaking even. But like this year, I think is probably the first year I've kind of actually turned a profit on it. So I'm hoping that 2025 will be more of that. Because ultimately, I just want to grow the business and have this brand, and eventually I'd like to hire people. People ask me if I need an intern or I need an editor, and yeah, you're damn right. I'd like to have an editor. I'd like to have an assistant who can help me and that I can hire and actually pay them a livable wage. I don't like the idea of doing like an intern and getting intern pay. If I hire someone full time, I want the business to be at a point where I can feasibly do that. And hire someone in the States at a reasonable working wage from home. I don't want to. I don't want handouts or freebies. So I don't want to. Back in the day, there were a lot of my interns who would go work at studios, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm working 20 hours a week at a studio. I'm not getting paid anything for it." I just don't think that's fair. So that's number 3, become more solid financially. The financials are one of the scary parts about being self-employed. With the business management, business taxes, like we were talking about. And it's not necessarily just because I want to, it's because I have to, because if I don't, the business won't make it, which kind of brings me into point number 4, which is to expand this guy right here, Logic Pro. The Logic Pro Guide website. In a perfect world, I would like to have one course ready to go every single month, like a 25 part course. I'm still going to upload them all to YouTube, but probably what I'll do is I'll offer, like my master plan is to take this website and grow it and get enough content on the website so that I can, instead of that I can charge a subscription fee, but in addition to a subscription fee for access to everything, you still have the option to buy individual courses. So if you don't want the subscription, I'll offer just like a buy a course option. But what I also want to do is build like an online e-learning platform out of this, where you get not just the tutorial, but you get notes on the lecture. You know, you get project files that you can download and work with. So it's a way to sort of, and then like assessments too. Like, it's tough to do like real assessments like I would do in college, where people would send me their projects. I would grade their project. That isn't really possible in an online e-learning platform, but what I could do is structure it like a college course. You know what I mean? And that's really what I want to do. It's like, you know, breaking away from academia and injecting some of the good things about academia that I've learned over the years and done over the years, and put that into an e-learning platform where people can, instead of spending, you know, $20,000-$30,000 on an associate's degree, they could go to my website and work through a whole set of, you know, 12, 15, 18 courses and get the essentially the same education as an associate's degree for like 1/10 the price. You know what I mean? Like a $20 a month subscription or something like that. So that's kind of like where I'm going with this. I'm probably going to change the name. It's probably not going to be called Ultimate Guide to Logic Pro yet, but I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to call it. I do need to completely rebuild the website. I'm already like kind of at my limit of what I can do with it, just because like the delivery and download of the courses is becoming troublesome for some people, because for whatever reason, the download links I have don't always work for everyone. And if I have an online e-learning platform where you can stream the video from the website and download it optionally if you want to, I think that might be a better way to approach it. But it also gives you more structure. It's not just like you buy a course from me, here are 20 videos and 20, you know, logic projects. It's 20 topical outlines, you know, for each lecture, you know. Bradley asks, have you considered adding mentor Zoom calls? You know, I thought about that, but I have so little. I get asked. That's another thing. I probably get asked at least once a week if I do like one-on-one lessons. And I used to do lessons a long time ago in Logic. I did guitar lessons as well. I taught piano, like kids piano lessons as well. As much as I would like to do it or make a day for it, I just don't have the time for it. I have so little time that I can't. As much as I want to, I can't. I don't have time for it. And plus, like Zoom sucks when you're trying to like do get high quality audio with Logic and everything. Like the setup just makes it like really, really tough to do. But definitely want to expand the website. You know, some ideas I have for new courses. Let's see. Can I do like a poll? Let's see. Will the chat let me do a poll? Holy crap, there's a poll in here. Okay, let's ask a question. And let's say, what course would you like to see next? I know I asked this on my community page, but here are my ideas. A music fundamentals course. So not music theory, but fundamentals of music, understanding the terminology, really basic theory, like reading notes and intervals and stuff like that. A music theory for producers reboot course, because I already did one. But a music theory for producers course would be like minimal music notation, almost all piano roll. And I truly believe music theory can be taught without sheet music. And I know some people are going to, you know, turn their nose up to that. As someone who learned music formally, you do not need to learn how to read music proficiently in order to be a audio engineer or a music producer or a mixing engineer. It helps to have some music knowledge for sure, but it's not 100% necessary. So music theory for producers, reboot, mixing and mastering in Logic fundamentals, and then recording techniques. That's another one I want to do. One of my favorite classes I used to teach in college was a recording techniques course. I'm going to say recording / editing techniques is what I'll say. In fact, I'm going to kind of group these. Yeah, I'm going to group these. So music fundamentals. I'm also going to say like audio fundamentals. So I'll say music / audio fundamentals. And okay, there we go. Which one would you like to see first? So that's number 4, expanding the website, growing the brand, making more courses. It's going to be a slow process. I was trying to get a, series that goes through all of the instruments in Logic's library. I thought about doing that. Back in the day, I may still have the book somewhere, but there was a book I was using for my synthesis class when I was teaching college. It was literally an entire book that was a breakdown of every single instrument in Logic. And the great thing about it wasn't just like, here are the instruments and here are what the knobs do. It actually explained synthesis. It explained, the common terminology in synthesis and different types of synthesis and how they work and what filters are and what LFOs are. That's another one I'd like to do too, like a synthesis course, a synthesis and sound design course. That could even be 2 courses. It's like basic synthesis and more advanced stuff. Okay. So yeah, that's number 4, expanding the brand, expanding the courses and such. Now we get to like some of like the personal life goals. Number 5 is exercise more, lose weight, and eat healthier. And I know that's like every single person's New Year's resolution, but my weight has been up and down my entire life. Since I was a teenager, I would gain 20 pounds, lose 20 pounds, gain 30 pounds, lose 15, gain 20, lose 30. Like, I have been up and down my entire life, and I know that's not healthy for you. These days I eat pretty healthy. Back in my 20s, I ate like shit. I was eating probably fast food like at least 2-3 times a week because I was always on the road with my band back in those days. So when you're on the road and you're you have poor planning, you end up eating garbage food instead of eating more healthy. And I'm going to be turning 40 in next year in April. And man, the older you get, the harder it is to keep the weight off and stay healthy. If I was doing what I'm doing right now for my diet, back in my 20s, I probably would have been even thinner. I would have actually been considered in shape, but now as an almost 40-year-old, it is so hard to lose weight. It really is. These days I've been doing the Factor meals, and that's not a sponsor, but I've been doing the Factor meals because it helps with portion control. And they're also pretty good. And, I do like the low carb option, so I'm eating less carbs, although my wife is Brazilian. So rice and beans are usually at our table, at least once or twice a week. It'd probably be there 4 times a week if I let her, let her decide. But we've been trying to eat a little healthier. I need to get out and exercise more. I used to have a routine where I would go for a walk every single morning. And I dropped a ton of weight at one point. I mean, I was down to I'm 5'11". I'm a stocky guy. And I was about 224, which is like a very healthy weight for me. But right now I'm 265 or something like that. So my goal, for, instead of just saying I want to exercise more, again, I want to quantify these things because I have an easier time accomplishing them when I do. I want to lose 20 pounds by the end of 2025. So I'm going to check my weight today, and then I'm going to remember that. And then I'll check in with you guys again in a year and see how I'm doing. Believe it or not, there was a point where I was 282 or 283 pounds. So I've I've gotten a little bit better and things, my weight's come down, but like I don't ever want to be 280 again. It's just I just remember sitting on the couch at night watching TV and just like being like short of breath. You know what I mean? Like that was like my tipping point. Like 280, I was like, okay, I'm like really getting big. So I don't want to go back to that. So my goal is to lose 20 pounds this year. So, oh, Melodyne. Yeah, I should do a Melodyne course. I did 2 Melodyne courses for MacProVideo.com back in the day. I did like a basic Melodyne course, and then I did like an advanced Melodyne course. But I think that was all Melodyne 4. But not much has changed. I mean, there's a few things, but yeah, I should definitely do like a vocal tuning and Melodyne course. It's very deep. Like Melodyne is, you almost need to have a little bit of theory knowledge in advance before you do a Melodyne course. But yeah, I'll definitely think about that one as well. Let's see where the poll is at. Yeah, everyone wants mixing and mastering and recording and editing. You know what? Maybe I'll just do all 3. No one, music fundamentals, no one seems to be that interested in, but the other ones, yeah, maybe I'll just have to do all 3 of them. I was planning on doing a mixing one next, so maybe that's what I'll do. And I think that's about the response I got last time I asked. Let's see. Happy New Year's, Bradley. I'm guessing. Oh, Coach. I'm guessing you walk your dog daily. If not, walking 30 minutes. Yeah. It helps me lose weight and helps them lose weight too. Because my dogs were fat. The vet said that they were both overweight, and so we kind of had to be a little more strict with them. So, James, I don't know how safe these new drugs are, but have you considered Wegovy? I think that's how it's spelled. No, I haven't considered any weight loss drugs. For being a pudgy guy, I'm actually fairly healthy, all things considered. Like I'm not on any prescriptions. Like I'm not prescribed to anything. I hardly ever get sick. I have a really good immune system. I don't feel, I feel like a little more lethargic now, getting closer to 40 than I did, at 29, but, I haven't thought about it just because I just don't want it. And I'm not against, getting on weight loss drugs. Some people like legitimately need it. I have thought about getting like the surgery where they go in and shrink your stomach. A bunch of people in my family had that done, and it seemed to work pretty well for them. But with a lot of them, they drop a bunch of weight, and then 5 years later they're back to the same size, and it's like, okay, well, maybe that didn't work out. I think I just need to, like Coach was saying, I just need to get out and I need to make it a routine to get up early and go for a 30-minute walk every morning, But, fortunately enough, I have not had too many health problems, all things considered. But again, the older you get, the harder it is to keep that up. I may not be able to say that in 10 years if I maintain my current weight. So, Brendan, would you ever make content on creating a YouTube music channel, studio setup, recording video? Yeah, I thought about doing I thought about doing a video on how to make a video, and my process has changed drastically over the years. Like I kid you not, in the early days, the only app that I had for editing video was like, what was it? Like, it was like not iMovie, but it was like another free one. And then for some reason I started using After Effects because I could do titles in After Effects. But then I realized After Effects is not made for video editing. So I kind of went over to Premiere, but I was recording everything with like QuickTime. And then, like the early videos were one take. Almost all of the earliest videos I did were one take, not a single edit, maybe 1 or 2 edits. I would just hit record. All the ums and ahs and everything were all in the recording. I didn't cut any of that stuff out. And then I would just put two halves together, and that was the video. I started using ScreenFlow years ago when I started doing work for Mac Pro Video, but ScreenFlow sucks, man. I just with the latest update, it's completely broken. I can't even use it. I cannot do anything in it. So what I'm doing now, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this OBS thing for streaming too, is this makes it super easy for me to capture my face, but then also, capture the screen. And I do need, like I said, I do need to buy myself a new webcam, or I need to find a DSLR that actually works with my Mac. And I think that's going to be moving forward. That's going to be the way I do things. I record everything with OBS, drop it into Premiere, do all of my edits, any titles, call outs, things like that. Call outs and titles are not, or at least call outs are not very easy in Premiere. That's the one thing I really miss about ScreenFlow, is how easy it was to do call outs, meaning like zoom in on a thing, zoom in the screen, highlight a certain area. Someone asked, Coach, I don't really understand what music audio fundamentals are and how it differs from music theory. So music fundamentals would be like basic musical terminology, and specifically with audio, like digital audio fundamentals, like explaining what bit depth and sample rate are, how digital audio works, also like studio terminology, different types of cables and connectors, what they're used for, different types of microphones and hardware, signal levels, things like that. Really, music fundamentals and audio fundamentals would be two separate courses, but it's sort of like a primer to get yourself into proficient at using the terminology, So, okay. So that's number 5, exercise more, lose weight. Number 6, work smarter, not harder, and work less, vacation more, travel more. By myself, I'm kind of a workaholic and I'm kind of a hermit. The older I get, the more of a workaholic hermit I get too. When I was in my 20s, I would get up, go for a walk, go to work an 8-10 hour day. Then I would go out to the bar with my friends. Then I would get home, and then I would work a little bit more. I'd work on a mixing project or something, or I'd work on my own music until 2-3 o'clock in the morning. And then I'd get up and do it all over the next day, like no problem. These days I can't do that. I'm up at like 7 every morning. I work, and then I get to a certain point. I'm tired. I stop, and then I am like in bed by like 11 p.m. most nights. So I don't have that same, drive that I did in my 20s, which is why I tell people who are young, like, use your 20s wisely, like use your 20s to your advantage, because your 20s and 30s are really going to be where you can make the most growth in your life. And I'm not saying if you're 40, you can't have growth, for sure. And there's people who are like in great shape and have tons of energy in their 40s. But for me personally, things have slowed down, compared to what I was doing, a long time ago. Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Long time no see. Oh, thank you. I love teaching. I really do. And I'm happy everyone, enjoys the content and can get something from this. If anything, that's my life's work, is being able to show people how to make their own music, whether they have a, college degree or not, or whether they're, formally trained or not. So number 6, like I said, work less, work smarter, vacation more, travel more. We kind of already started this. I can blame my wife for this. My wife has been an extremely positive influence on me since we met. And, this year we went on 5 trips, which is like unheard of. Like I'm the kind of guy, like I get 1 vacation a year and that's it. We went on 5 little short trips. What my plans for next year, the big one is in January. I'm going to be at NAMM. So, and I mentioned this in the last stream, but January, I am going to be at NAMM. I'm going to be walking around, maybe doing some interviews or talking to some folks. and maybe filming some stuff out there. I don't know. I haven't 100% planned it all out yet. I'll also be, if you want to find me, you want to meet me in person, say hi. I will be hanging around the, I'll be hanging around the booth for Ska, Dillinger Labs, Electrotech, and Truly. These are all wireless audio companies. And I'm not officially there on an official capacity with them. I will be there here and there, but I'll kind of be floating around, but I'm going to be kind of using that booth as my home base. I think we're very close to where Mackie is. So just, yeah, Ska and Dillinger Labs and Electrotech. It's a shared booth. There's some really cool gear that we've got out there that's wireless audio speakers, wireless transmitters for, you know, you could like imagine, and again, this is not a sales pitch. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but imagine like showing up to a gig with a small mixer. You take the line outs of the mixer, you hook it up to a little battery powered transmitter. That's a wireless transmitter that'll get you 50 meters of range. You can bond that transmitter to 4 speakers, like 2 top speakers and 2 subs, or 3 top speakers and 1 sub, and you can run live sound without a single without a single long cable run and no power needs. That's what this company does, and I really think they have like some really revolutionary cool stuff. And it's not Bluetooth, so it's not like garbage Bluetooth audio quality. It's 48 kilohertz, 16-bit. You know, it is lossy compressed, but it's it's basically a step. I think it's a step above what like Apple's streaming quality is. So it's really good stuff. So if you're at NAMM that week, you know, swing by the Ska booth and say hi. I'd love to meet you. Chris, do you know if the older UAD interfaces work with the new OS? I want to use Logic 11, but I'm worried that Apollo Twin may not work. You're going to have to check the UAD website on that one, see if they support Logic 11 yet. I'm assuming they do at this point. I think it may be an issue. It might also, yeah, it might also be an issue. Like, are you on Intel still, or do you have an M1 or M2, M3? If you're on Apple Silicon, Logic 11 definitely will work. And because Logic 11 came out back in May or June, so I don't think that they have any issues. But yeah, double check the Universal Audio website on that one. CLA Sam says, I'd love to see a producer series of interviews, more of the songwriter arranger job, as well as an engineer series. You know, I thought about doing a podcast, but once again, it's like, I don't have the time. You know, I know all sorts of industry people that I could bring in and on the podcast. Like I know Peter Klett from Candlebox. I know, you know, I've spoken with the drummer for Death Cab for Cutie. He watches the channel. Pretty sure Hardwell watches the channel too, because he follows me on Instagram. You know, I know a whole bunch of like Grammy nominated and Grammy award winning, you know, mastering engineers that are much more accomplished than I. And I would love to, have them on a show like that. But to truly do it the right way, I would almost need like a separate room in my house to make that happen. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And that's going to that'll actually tie into one of my other goals here. So, okay. Number 7. As I've said before, my wife is from Brazil, and we've been together since 2018, and I can only speak basic phrases in Portuguese still to this day, and that to me is sad. So my number 7 goal is to learn Brazilian Portuguese at a basic level. Next year, we're going to Brazil for like 3 months, and I'm going to be meeting a bunch of her family for the first time. We didn't get to go really do anything when we got married because it was during COVID and there was a lockdown. We couldn't even go over there. Her family was planning on coming over to visit when we got married, but it just didn't happen because of COVID. So a lot of her family, I have met some of her family, but a lot of her family I have not yet met, and most of them don't speak English or very little English. So I want to try to learn Brazilian Portuguese at least as good enough of at a level where I can at least have a basic conversation with someone. So if anyone has any like apps or, you know, courses that they've used to learn other languages, please let me know. Drop a comment, because I'd love to check them out. The thing about me in foreign language is I am just not good at it. I'm really not good at learning it. You know, Portuguese to me, to my ear, kind of sounds like a blend between like Spanish and Italian. And so I took 6 years of Spanish classes in grade school and in college. I went to like middle school in Texas. And so we had like 7th and 8th grade Spanish. I took like 9th and 10th grade Spanish. And then in college, I took 2 more years of Spanish. And I cannot speak Spanish. You would think I would be like fluent in Spanish after 6 years, but I'm not, because I don't use it. I can read it pretty well. I can like interpret it. Like I can understand people pretty well, but me speaking it, no, I can't. And Portuguese, you know, is kind of, again, I live with someone from Brazil and we've lived together for 5 years, and I can't quite figure it out. So I need to get on a regiment there and try to learn, at least just, you know, I don't need to be super proficient with it, just at a basic level. Chris asks, what room treatment are you using? These are from a company called, let's see if I can turn the camera here. These are from a company called UA Acoustics. They're actually based out of Ukraine. And the crazy thing is, when I got these, they sent them to me to review. They had a war like immediately after I got it. So it was like pretty crazy. They're pretty good. I would say they're a good budget alternative to using foam. The problem with foam is that it has very, very bad absorption coefficients for low frequencies and even mid-low frequencies. Like anything below like 200 hertz, like foam isn't going to do shit for you. Probably like these, once we move out of this house, these are probably going to go in the trash. Not because they're not good. They are good. They actually, the room actually sounds really good. I still need to put my ceiling absorbers up, which I haven't done yet. Yeah, it just, because they are a foam product with a wood front plate, they can only last like 1 or 2 installations, and then you have to replace them. So after this, I'll probably just make my own custom set of absorbers. I have before. My old way back in the day before I got these, I had a whole set of 2x2 absorbers that I made just out of, you know, Owens Corning 703 fiberglass. So Jeremy, have I tried Duolingo? No, but I will make a note of that and I will check it out. Okay, so that's number 7. I want to learn to speak Brazilian Portuguese at like a really basic level, enough to, you know, converse with my family, with my wife's family. Number 8 is another kind of like simple one that seems simpler than it really is. Simplify my life, simplify clutter and throwing away / giving away things I don't need or use. I'm not a hoarder, I promise, but I do keep a lot of shit that I don't need. I have so much gear. I mean, this closet back here is just filled with gear that I don't use. You know, the other room right over here, like my tracking room, is full of stuff I don't use. And so I need to, like, you know, usually like once a year, I try to sit down and be like, okay, what do I need to get rid of? Do I really need like a box full of power adapters? Like, before we moved here, I threw out like an entire box of power adapters because I had so many power adapters for so many things over the years that I had collected. And I just, my new rule now is kind of like, if I don't use something for a year, like if something sits there and collects dust for a year, get rid of it. Because it's sometimes when you have too much stuff lying around, not only does it just like, I don't know, it makes things less pretty, but it also just like, it creates clutter and mess in your life, you know. My brother is really good at this. Like if you go in my brother's house, he has almost no extraneous things lying around. Everything is like super clean and super minimal. And like when I go into his office, he's a programmer, so it's, you know, it's a little different, but he's got like one of those standing desks, an iMac, a laptop, and like a pair of headphones. And that's his whole desk. You know what I mean? So it's like, not saying I want to do that with my audio setup. I definitely need all of this gear. Everything that's in my racks I use, but I do have quite a bit of old gear that I just don't use. I haven't used it in forever. And so, you know, time to get rid of it, give it away, sell it. And I've already kind of started doing that. So that's number 8, just sort of simplify things, declutter my life. Number 9 is I want to decide what our next move is going to be. I have been like a nomadic person almost my entire life. My dad was in the Navy. I don't think I have spent more than 5 years in one house. Yeah, I've lived in Rhode Island, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Texas, Louisiana, moved back to Michigan, went to college in Michigan, went to grad school in Michigan, moved to Tampa, moved out of Tampa, moved north of Tampa, moved to Winter Haven, and now I'm in Kissimmee. I don't know. Oh, oh, I see. It's like it's giving me like a little thumbs up there. So 13 places I've lived in 40 years. The older I get, the more I want to settle down somewhere. We're kind of torn right now between moving back to Michigan where all my family is, or maybe moving to like upstate New York. There's some really nice, like older, but really well-built houses there. And it's not like Florida. Like Florida home prices are outrageous. Like what you get for like $200,000 or $300,000 in Florida for a house is not much. Not these days. I've looked at some houses in upstate New York and in Michigan where you get a big 4 or 5 bedroom house, built in-ground pool, and a separate building where I can like put my home studio in. That's like my optimal setup for like $300,000. You know, 20 years ago, that would have been easy to do. These days, you know, that would have been like a $150,000, $200,000, you know, piece of land. So that's one of my other goals, is not necessarily to move. We're not moving in 2025, but I want to plan to get out of Florida by 2026 and move into our forever home, you know, essentially our forever home, or at least get that process started. Yeah, California, there's no way I couldn't do California. Like my little house would probably be like my little 1,800 square foot house. Well, it's not even my 1,600 square foot house would probably be $500,000 in California, I'm sure. Yeah, I just want a place that's big enough to have family over to visit. I want a pool because I freaking love just hanging out by the pool. I have an above ground pool, but you know, that only comes out in the summer, obviously. But most importantly, I want a separate workshop / building where I can build out my own custom studio, like build walls inside of walls. I don't know if you guys know this, but when you design a studio, you generally leave some space between the outside wall and the inside wall, like a foot or 2. And what that does is it keeps sound, just that air gap, keeps sound from getting into the studio and out of the studio. It's kind of a similar concept to like, you know, even with these UA acoustic panels, there's like an inch air gap behind them on purpose because that helps with the absorption. So that's the main thing. I need to find a house that's not like outrageously expensive, that we can stay in for at least 10 years and that I can build a studio out of. That is really like my next like big goal. And you know, I don't want to move after that. I want to go somewhere and just stay there for at least 10 years. So, Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado, huge music scene. Amazing outdoor. Yeah, Colorado. We thought about Colorado too. Colorado is beautiful. It's really far away from my family. My parents are getting older. I have one grandparent still left. Surprisingly, because a lot of people there's lots of people who've never met their grandparents. Isabella and Mike Fuller. I've learned a lot from your videos. Thanks for all your help. My wife is also from Sao Paulo, and my birthday is next month as well on the 4th. Well, happy birthday in advance. That's where my wife is from too. She's from Sao Paulo. So, let's see. Yeah, Sam, I thought about Tennessee. One of my best friends lives outside of Nashville in Murfreesboro. For a while, we were thinking about moving there just because of the music scene. But I have my other issues with Tennessee that I won't discuss here without pissing off some people. But we were actually very, very convinced that our next move was going to be to move to Tennessee just because of the music industry. And like one of my best friends lives there, and he's also an engineer, and he wanted to start a studio and partner up, and he still wants to, but I'm just like, I don't know. Tennessee is not a thing for me. Is not a thing for me anymore. That's just I've kind of let that go. Number 9. No, number 9 we already said. Number 9, we're decided where our next move is going to be, and then number 10, the most important one. Make more music of my own. I work on dozens of music projects every year and non-music projects. And what I find is that I almost never write my own music anymore, which makes me really sad because that was my main focus. Like that's what my master's degree was, composition. And while I've gotten out of the orchestral and scoring world and more into like the pop and rock world. I mean, I've always written rock music because I was always in a heavy metal band, and we're even thinking about putting on another album, even though we're all, the band is essentially retired. We're thinking about putting on another album, but beyond that, I've been writing a whole album of electronic music, but it's kind of like synthwave mixed with like pop music, mixed with some like cinematic, interesting sound design type of elements. I actually have like 8 songs that are in various stages of completion. One of them is like completely done. Actually, a couple of them are completely done. I even have a music video in the can ready to go. I'm just like, I'm struggling to find song or to find time to work on my own music. Yeah, Magic was a Mayday Children. Mayday Children was always like this little side project I had where I just bring my friends in to play on songs and sing on the songs. And I started kind of doing some more electronic stuff under that name. And so what I've decided earlier this year is everything that's electronic and more pop oriented is going to go over under my Electrocosm moniker, and then the more rock solo stuff that I do is going to go under the Mayday Children moniker, and then I have my band Right Stripped as well. So, but like none of those projects I have written almost anything for lately. The electronic project I have been when I do have time, but I have a music video ready to go. It's in the can. It's fully edited. I have basically a final, I'm like one step away from a final mix on this pop track I wrote. And that'll be coming out probably in January of the new year. So I'm starting it off with a bang, just like, boom, music video, let's go. I collabed with a couple of artists. I collabed with, I won't spoil it. I'll let it be a surprise. Thank you. I like the song Magic a lot too. It was like real drums, but it's like pop, but it's also heavy, perhaps one of these days I'll re-record that or remaster it or something and throw it on like a future Mayday Children release. What keeps happening is I write stuff for Mayday Children and then I show it to my band And my band's like, we should do that song. I'm like, okay, we can. So that's what happened with our last album. Like half of those songs were like started as like Mayday Children albums. So Chris, oh, you still listen to the SoundCloud for the electronic music ensemble when you taught it? Yeah, I mean, that was an experience, man. I when I taught at St. Petersburg College, for like 2 terms, I was the director of the laptop and electronic arts ensemble, and that like really opened my eyes to a lot of things related to like electronic music performance. But it's also like really tough to be an ensemble director at a small college because you get paid almost nothing. You know what I mean? I was basically working for minimum wage doing that gig, which is why I stopped doing it, because just the amount of time I had to do outside of rehearsals. You know, it's not like directing a concert band where your band just shows up for rehearsal and you come in and you you rehearse. Like this is like, we got to set up all the sound equipment. I got to like find a truck to drive our sound equipment around. So it was definitely an experience. So yeah, that's my last main goal. Just work on more of my own music, write more music, and just try to make time for projects that are my own. And like I said, when you start doing mixing and production work for a living, you start to forget about your own music. And going back to what I said at the very beginning of the stream is what got me into music in the first place was writing. And so I don't want to abandon that, because that's like what gives me purpose, you know what I mean, in a way. And I know a lot of other songwriters who are, essentially retired musicians or retired songwriters doing completely different jobs unrelated to music, but they still put out a song every month, or they still put out an album or an EP every year. And I really respect that, because it's like, you realize that, yeah, maybe I'm not going to make $1 million or make a career out of my music life, but I love music enough to where, I want to do it, and I want to do it regularly. And I want to get myself back in that mindset where I take a few hours every week or a half a day every week, and I focus on writing my own music. So, and I want to release a full Electrocosm album next year. I have 2 tracks that are already out, the Running Out of Time one, which I sang on, and then there's an instrumental that I put out too. But, I still got quite a bit of work. I got to work with some singers and some vocalists and some other artists to get that done. But I'm hoping to have a single with a music video out in January, and then later, maybe in the summer, to have a full album release. So, well, cool, guys. That's it for my my life updates. Thank you for joining me. I am going to go into Boombox here and listen to a few songs that I didn't get to in previous weeks. Let's go over there. So last week we pretty much got through. Yeah, we got through like the entire folder last week of songs. There were a couple at the end we didn't get to, and then there's a few of them from week 2 and week 1 that I want to go through real quick, since I promised I would do that. Moving forward with the streams, I'm still going to be doing them every Friday at 6, but what I want to kind of do is I hate to say this, but like moving forward, I'm probably not going to be able to do like a catch-up or makeup stream. I'm just going to have to get through as many as I can in a particular week and then move on. And if I don't get to yours, I apologize. You'll just have to resubmit it for the following week. But I did promise I would go through some of these, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's see here. We got down here to, we got to Calling All Vampires last week. So let's check out Done With That, demo stereo mix from Crinkle Cut. Let's give it a listen. It's really catchy. I love the vibe. Like you know, like the mix balance is good. I would maybe pull up the bass a little bit. I think the female vocals here, maybe not in this section, but over here, the female vocals either need to come up like 2-3 dB, or may need some like thickening effects, like some modulation or something, just to fatten them up a little bit, because the female vocals here sound a little thin compared to the male vocals. And I know they're in a completely different range, so it's always going to be that way, but I just feel like the female vocals could really be beefed up with a little bit of a chorus or modulation or something. Over here they sound fine though. They seem you know, about where they need to be. Cool, really catchy track. You know, your vocals are good. Both singers are pretty good. I see no problem in maybe dialing back the vocal tuning a little bit, you know, especially when they sing in harmony. It gets a little too flat for me, and I don't mean flat as in the pitch is flat. I mean like the pitch dynamic is a little flat. So I would maybe dial back the vocal tuning a little bit, but otherwise, yeah, very catchy, very a great song. So let's see. So we've got 2 songs from Danny. Oh, we got Danny the Demon. Let's go to BOP. Any feedback for mixing an overall song would be appreciated.
Bitch, gra, gang, gra, on the money. Like, bitch, pow. Shit getting spooky when gang on your block. They shedding a tear when they heard he got dropped. Ballin' like I'm D-Rose in his prime with the rock. Like that boy a hoe tried to bait with the flop. Like no, he ain't know he had nowhere to go. Had to DM that bitch for the setup. Heard him pick up the phone, I could hear by his tone he was lacking OG in his denim. Think he slow, how the fuck he gon' deal with my stompers? We catch him, we make him regret. I was really just calling and trapping, been making it happen. Why mention the dead? Same ones that could get caught in the action and stitch on the back and they'll really be fed. I'm still tight, y'all believe what they said. They never did shit and that's word to my dead. Let me show you the bop that we made. You just lean to the left and the right and start grabbing your head. Let me tell you the stop that they made. They start spinning your block, they go crazy like them boys is head. Pow. They went deaf shooting lead. He tried to dip but got caught in the leg. They started running down and I heard that he begged. Like that boy just a clown, he ain't meant what he said. Them was just tough with the gang in the studio. So they jumped off the porch to Shanuli though. Punching for odds like my last name was Scooby though. Like my name was Doody Low. They got me tight with the shit they be saying. They really ain't gang and that's truly though. Like I know that they rappers, they really be capping on beats, but they really be booty though. Shit getting spooky when gang on your block. They shedding a tear when they heard he got dropped. Ballin' like I'm D-Rose in his prime with the rock. Like that boy a hoe tried to bait with the flop. Like no, he ain't know he had nowhere to go. Had to DM that bitch for the setup. Heard him pick up the phone, I could hear by his tone he was lacking OG in his denim. Gang. You already know the fucking vibes. Gang. Danny the Demon on the money. Ra, bow. Like, bow. Like, gra. Gang.
Yeah, I mean, I like the beat. It's just, it sounds like the entire mix is clipping. Like, I'm not really sure what's going on there. Maybe your limiter is cranked like too hot on the final output, because there are certain elements that are like audibly distorting, and I'm not talking about saturation. I'm talking about like audible distortion. Your bass also like when it first kicks in,
Bitch, God.
like right there, I'm expecting a big sub bass. You know what I mean? But it's almost like all of your content is in the mid range. There's almost nothing. I mean, other than the kick, there's almost no. Yeah, there's not enough sub in it. Like your sub needs to come way out, and the mid-range elements maybe need to come back a bit. And I think fixing the limiter issue, the clipping issue, may actually help that a lot. I would also say drop the vocal 2 or 3 dB, but again, when you push something really hard and you limit it really hard, there's this thing called the equal loudness principle. Basically means that as you add gain to a track, the more added gain you add to a track, the more you're going to have to increase the bass and treble in order to achieve equal loudness. And it's basically because our ears are attuned to hearing like 1 to 5K the most. So the mid-range, if you crank the volume on something like this or over-limit it, what ends up happening is you end up hearing the mid-range more than everything else. So I think your first problem is I'd have to drop this into Logic to see like what the loudness level is, but I would dial back your master limiter. I guarantee that's probably at least -7 LUFS or something like that. You know, it's just for me way too loud. Okay, let's keep going. I don't think there were a lot left in this this folder. Tashad, The Summer Sun. Let's give this a listen.
Like I always do, I've been fighting off the shadows, trying to light the candles, lying to me while I'm dying to sleep. Am I losing all the battles? Am I heading for the gallows? Do you even care? Are you ever gonna come around? Come around? Should I stay and fight, or should I pick it up and put it down? Put it down. Are we done? Is it over now? We've blown it like a bullet from a smoking gun. Is it over in this moment? Like the setting of the summer sun. Like the setting of the summer sun. Of the summer sun.
For the years you watched just slowly drift away. For the lies you told yourself. When you said it would be okay.
Show me you worry, there's no need to hurry. Cause God, you know I'm waiting, even though my faith is fading. So much been lost, tell me what did it cost? Now you never seem to know. Baby, I've been feeling hopeless. Do you even care? Are you ever gonna come around? Come around? Should I stay and fight, or should I pick it up and put it down? Put it down. Are we done? Is it over now? We've blown it like a bullet from a smoking gun. Is it over in this moment? Like the setting of the summer sun. Like the setting of the summer sun. Just like I always do, I've been fighting off the shadow. Like the setting of the summer sun. Trying to light the candle. Come around, put it down. Like the setting of the summer sun. Summer sun.
Yeah, really cool stuff as always. To Shad, another banger. Well, maybe not a banger, but like really a sort of emotive song. I love all the strings, the harmonies, the vocal production's really on point. I would personally maybe pull up the lead vocal like 1 dB, but that's like a super minor thing. Otherwise, the mix is really good. Normally, I'd say maybe a little bit more bass, but it sounds like it's like an upright, bass. I don't know if that's a real upright or if it's a sampled upright, but either way, if you have like upright bass, it's, you're not going to get the sub you'd get from like a synthesizer or a bass guitar. So it makes sense in the context. So yeah, great work. Fantastic. So I think that wraps up the 18th. Let's go to the 6th, which all these dates are like 1 or 2 days behind the day of the actual stream, but I didn't get to all of, so I got a couple of them here. I didn't get to. Let's see where we left off at here. Break Up by the Lavish Bastards. And then that left us at this one. Okay. And I know some of these folks have actually got their songs listened to earlier this week. Where were we? Right here. Okay. So we'll start here. This is The Loose Nun, Tea Leaves Remastered for Normalized Overload. So I'm remastering this to replace the lesser mastered files I've uploaded and streaming on DSPs. I just cannot tell if the mix is horrible in other speakers, even normalized overload protection, because my JBL headphones, it sounded bad. Let me know what you think. All right, let's go listen.
I made a drink of the tea leaves. I'm not ashamed of the beady beads, and I'm not the same as a he or she. I gotta be thinking I'm deity. My body a vessel to being me. I'm robbing your pleasure, you meeting me. The opposite sex of my scenery. Binoculars bet you ain't seeing me. You popular, better low key to me. A prominent message I need to speak. A lot on my chest, I ain't being weak. Philosopher better my reasoning. I got me a lesson I need to teach. It gotta be spreaded from sea to sea, and now you be merrily streaming me. The top is the set and I be the lead. The plot is you never defeated me. The prophecy tell it I'll be a king, and I'll be benevolent, freedom ring. A lot of your effort done easily. I jot every letter with decency. No robbery, a veteran need fatigues. You rhyme at a level that reach my knee. You hop in your head, hit my dingling. Hip hop it ain't dead, I just need to breathe. The pocket I get in, you need a gene. You try to pretend when I keep a beam. I'm dropping the gym, I ain't even peep. I got more of them, I ain't keep to me. I'm hawking a flim up repeatedly. You thought I was made of machinery. My calling connection immediately. It's not on the cellular thinking, my jigging, my jargon is but a soliloquy. I'm taller, you stuck in a little league. I fall in the depths of the history. It's not even question of mystery. Misogyny led me to misery. Monogamy led me to victory. I'm watching my step in a busy street. I talk to myself, we got chemistry. I'm salty, the memory bittersweet. I thought of a clever delivery. I knock off the edge with a hit of weed. I walk on the neck of my enemies. I'm not one for checkers, I need a queen. I'm not gonna forget the ones in the team, and I don't want them representing me. Call it protecting my energy. Government car, but you got no identity. A follower, you not a friend of me. Locked in an apartment with all the amenities. An artist, I'm drawing attention. Seen all of the progress and started resenting me. It's part for the course, not offending me. I'm charting the course, try to limit me. The bar, but of course not a sentencing. You start, but of course I'm finishing. Unstoppable force, I'm menacing. I'm off in the floors with a minute's clean. Not even Troy when I did my thing. Kinda important, don't intervene. I gotta record it for centuries. I want all the glory.
Yeah, the mix isn't horrible. I think if you're listening to it in headphones and it seems like it's just doesn't sound great, it might just because you have too many things pan center. I would maybe try, the mix when I listen to it in mono, there's almost no difference between mono and stereo. So, you may want to consider like adding some side elements you know, kind of move some things over to the left or to the right just to create some space. And what that'll let you do is, one, it's going to break things up and give them their own like localization, so you'll hear them better in the mix. They won't collide with each other as much. But also what that'll do is it'll allow you to pull down the level of the lead vocal, which I think the vocal is a little hot. I'd pull it down 2 or 3 dB. I would also pull up the sub bass a little bit. Seems to be lacking a little bit. But what that'll also do is by pulling down the vocal, that'll give you a little bit more room to push the whole track up volume wise. If you're trying to get up to like a, you know, louder loudness level. But yeah, I think there's a lot of, the main thing is I'm hearing is just, it's really mono, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's really mono. There's not a whole lot of side elements.
Your character is already solidified before that money comes. But if you haven't developed yourself and learned to love yourself,
My reputation precedes me. I'm in a drink of the tea leaves. We gotta keep going, on in the moment, body is dormant, not even sold, you probably sold it. Now that it's gone, you got what you wanted. Now that it's gone, you got what you wanted. Now that it's gone, you got what you wanted. It's gone, you got what you wanted. Popular better, low key to me. A prominent message I need to speak. A lot on my chest, I ain't being weak. Philosopher better, my reasoning. I got me a lesson I need to teach. It gotta be spreaded from sea to sea, and now you be merrily streaming me. The topic is set and I'll be the lead. The plot is you never defeated me. The prophets tell it I'll be a king, and I'll be benevolent freedom ring.
Yeah, so like here, the vocal's too quiet. And then over here, you can hear like the volume rides up on it and then comes down. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but like if you compare to the vocal over here.
Misogyny left me to misery, monogamy.
And then over here,
You be merrily streaming me.
like that's too quiet. This is too loud. So I'd try to find a level in between that that works for both of them.
It's said that I'll be the lead. The plot is you never. Need to breathe. Need to breathe. Need to breathe. Need to breathe. Need to
Yeah, I really like the beat. I just think there's a few little mix tweaks you need to make. Get that vocal sorted out. Try to, you know, pan some elements to, you know, break up the everything in the middle and pull up the bass a little bit. I think it'll be just fine. Okay, next up, let's go to Enter the Timeless Aeon. It's a chill wave, synthwave instrumental by Isaac Synth. Let's give it a listen. I feel like the you need a melody in here. You know what I mean? It's like a really cool track. I really love the the 80s synthwave vibes. And it kind of has a melody to it because the arpeggiator is doing this do 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 do, right? That's kind of a melodic idea. But I would almost introduce, like, on the second repetition of this idea, I would introduce like some sort of really simple melody, something to give it a motive. You know what I mean? Like a melodic motive, or just get a vocalist to sing on the track. There's the melody. Yeah, great track. Really love the 80s vibes. The mix is on point. I would say maybe just a little more sub bass in the kick. The kick sounds really mid-rangey, which I know it's kind of like that's almost like a stylistic feature of synthwave, but I think a little more bass reinforcement in the in the kick. Okay, let's move to we were on Isaac. Something They Can't Take Away by MOGN. Moggen. Artist MOGN. Okay, let's give it a listen.
Something they can't take away. Took so much more than pay. Something they can't take away.
Yeah. So look, I'm always objective and I'm always nice, but I think this vocal is a demo vocal. Think of it like that. I don't know what you're recording on, but whatever mic you're using just doesn't sound great. And then like you don't need all. I think the reverb can go, but I think, moreover, like, again, saying this in the nicest way, I think you need to focus on really like practicing the vocal more. Think of this as maybe a starting point for a demo, like just getting an idea down and really lock in the pitch. And it's not even so much the pitch so far, it's just like the way you're singing sounds like someone just kind of casually singing, like you sing with purpose. And I know it's easy to say, it's hard to do.
What I've learned through all the rain, made it past the blame, let nothing get in my way. Although we went our separate ways, and we're living in a world of change, my love will remain the same. Feeling my best today, and I'm blessed to say that's something they can't take away. That's something they can't take away. Something they can't take away. something they can't take away. To so much more than faith, something they can't take away. Yeah. What I learned through all the rain, made it past the blame. Let nothing get in my way. Yeah. Although we went our separate ways, and we're living in a world of change, my love will remain the same. Feeling my best today, and I'm blessed to say that's something they can't take away. Yeah. That's something they can't take away.
Yeah, so like I said, just think of this vocal as a starting point just to get your idea down. There's nothing wrong with having a rough vocal just as a placeholder so you know what you're going to do with the song. It is really important, even if you're not a great singer, to get your melodic ideas down, get your words down for sure, because if I don't record something, I won't remember it later. So I would say do one of two things here. Practice singing the song and being very confident and intentional in your performance, and then re-record it at some point in the future. Use a better microphone, get a little closer up to the mic, cut back the reverb, add some like vocal layers and doubling. Or you can do what I do. I accept the fact that I'm not a great singer, and I usually will find more competent singers to work with me on tracks. Find someone who can feature, do a feature vocal on the track. That's all from a vocal standpoint. From like an arrangement standpoint, it seems like the same beat for 3 minutes. So you need to think about the different sections of the song: verse, chorus, or verse, pre-chorus, chorus, maybe add a bridge. So try to break up the sections of the song so there are some different sounds and different textures and some different instruments. Maybe in a verse you drop out a few things, maybe in the chorus you add in a few things. And again, I would really think about adding like another bridge section in here to kind of break things up, because if it's just one beat the whole time, you're gonna lose people really quick. So all right, let's keep going. We are gonna jump down to Captain Crunch Flakes. Captain Crunch Flakes named final release copy. All right. Yeah, okay. I don't know if that's actually a song title, but we'll give it a shot. There's something about that little synth, the upper synth here sounds like it's got like a ring modulator on it or something. Something that makes it seem off. It's sounding like it's out of tune with the rest of the track. Like something about the harmonics is a little wonky. Whoops. You know, there's really some great little nuggets of greatness in here. It's, you know, especially in like this area though, there are like some elements that are just not in key. Like if this is all MIDI, I would take all of your MIDI ideas in this section, drag over all of them, and open them all up in the piano roll editor, and look and see if there are any notes that are clashing. Like, because it sounds like one of the parts has a wrong note every once in a while, and it's like clashing with another part. So I would double check that. There's definitely some cool like sound design and like instrumental elements in here for sure, though. Yeah, I mean, look, there's some like really cool ideas in here, but I don't know if this is the same artist I listened to a few weeks ago where I said that it sounds like you've got enough content for like 2 or 3 songs in here. You know, I say this all the time in the streams. I say, you know, like try to make some different sections that are contrasting that, you know, so not everything is exactly the same, you know, so there's this balance of like, you don't want too much repetition, but then at the same time, you don't want it to just constantly be changing and never come back to an idea. You know, it's like the whole idea of a hook, whether that hook be a vocal melody, a lyric, you know, an instrumental melody or a whole instrumental section. You want something to be able to come back to, you know what I mean? And this is almost the opposite of repetition. It's not enough repetition. So I would really think about that and think about, you know, reusing some of these ideas here and there. So it's not just constantly changing. So that would be my tip there. Okay. So we were right there. So now we're going to move to moving through. Unfortunately, I'm probably only going to get through the end of this list today because I am running out of time. But yeah, let's keep going here. Moving through, Chris in Seattle. This is my husband. Oh, you know what? We already watched this one, didn't we? Or listened to this one, didn't we? Let me listen real quick.
Moving through just the same.
Yeah, I think we already listened to this one. Let's go to Luke Zane, Lover, Online Remix. These stems were released by the artist for free for remix purposes. Well, you say there's no copyright issues, but I guarantee you I get a copyright flag. Just because they released them for free for remix purposes doesn't mean that they're not content ID claimed. But let's give it a listen.
Sometimes I wanna be close, but not too close. 'Cause feelings get messy. I get enough of attention through my phone. So when I go out, I just wanna have fun. I just wanna be dumb. I just wanna dance on my own. I just wanna have fun. I just wanna be dumb. I just wanna dance on my own. I'd rather find a lover online tonight and mutually pretend we're in love for life. You can boost my confidence till I feel alright. But if you hit me up to get down, I'll just move on to the next in line. I'd rather find a lover online. I like making
So I'm not going to comment on like the songwriting or the recording, just because you know, these are it's like a remix. But this section right here, very cool melody and everything, cool beat. I don't know, like I don't mind like the formant of, you know, vocal effect, but if there's like an original vocal that's in there that's not formant shifted, I would maybe consider layering that with the formant shifted vocal, or break it up so where the formant shifted vocal is more of an effect that pops in and pops out, rather than just having it through the entirety of that section, which is the chorus.
I'd rather find a lover online. I like making a scene there on my screen. That way it won't hurt me. I know that love don't ever turn out the way it seems. So when I go out, I just wanna have fun. I just wanna be dumb. I just wanna dance on my own.
This is another like example too of like where auto-tune works really well. You know what I mean? Like this vocal, this style works really well with the heavy auto-tuned vocal. So far, the remix is pretty on point, though. I mean, the instrumental, I'm assuming you created the instrumental, or you know, tweaked this. I'd have to hear what the original sounds like, but otherwise, like, it sounds really good. It's a great arrangement. The beat's nice. The mix is pretty on point as well.
I just wanna have fun. I just wanna be dumb. I just wanna dance on my own. I'd rather find a lover online tonight and mutually pretend we're in love for life. You can boost my confidence till I feel alright. But if you hit me up to get down, I'll just move on to the next in line. I'll just move on to the next in line. Never online.
How much you want to bet that's a session bass player from Logic 11? It sounds just, I mean, if it's not, you know, I don't mean to offend you, but great playing if it's not.
I'd rather find a lover online.
Yeah, really cool remix. I mean, really great work on this. You know, again, I'm not going to comment on the songwriting or the recording production, just because it's not, you know, it's a remix. But otherwise, it's a really great remix. I mean, the beat is really nice. The mix is on point. So, yeah, great beat and mix is on point. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to I think we already listened to this one. Is this the one with all the sound effects in it? Okay, never mind. We didn't listen to this. Georgie, Kitchen Stove Rework. Okay.
Secondary school days, road is dope, smoke and talk, south side of the water in the dope. I chop green and I'm letting it go. My nigga got faith in the kitchen stove. If it ain't about it, don't call my phone. If it ain't about progress, leave me alone. I done it make bang and I done.
Yeah, there's like the beat is solid. I really like the beat, super tight. Maybe a little repetitive. Let's see where it goes and see if we move to a different section over here. But the main issue I have is the stereo effect you have on your vocal is making it seem like the vocal is never like truly in one place. At least that's like my perception of it here. I would consider like maybe bringing out more of the dry signal of the vocal dead center and then let that stereo effect kind of be blended in with the vocal. Because in mono, that effect is like making the vocal disappear in mono. Not everywhere, but in certain spots, it is.
With a stainless tool, road is dope, smoke and talk, south side of the water in a joke. I chop green and I'm letting it go. My nigga got faith in the kitchen stove. If it ain't about it, don't call my phone. If it ain't about progress, leave me alone. I done it make bang and I done it alone. Niggas know my thing, boo back to the bone.
Yeah, I would say it's just maybe a little repetitive. I would like maybe here somewhere or maybe here add like a bridge section or something where you break it down for a little bit. The beat kind of either is filtered out or is just like, you know, not in the mid, like just gone, and just like an instrumental section with maybe some other vocals. I don't know. It just seems like it needs one more section, you know. It's 2:38, so it's pretty short. So you've got room to insert another like contrasting section to break up the, you know, the repetition a bit. Okay, let's go down to Jova Estevez Mix 0201 DIC 24. Let's give it a shot.
Salirò a buscarte, oigo los trinos de tu cantar, como susurros lejanos, y hoy estoy cierto que puedo andar, y sé que voy a llegar. Esta vez no estoy perdido, solo lejos de tu sombra, pero siento que tu aliento sube por mis piernas, me calienta, me acaricia y revienta con mis venas. Estaré rondando y en tus brazos gritaré cuánto te extraño. Esta vez, aunque el camino esté empinado, llegaré. No concibo perderte. No he estado contigo.
Yeah, the main thing I'm hearing, like the mix and the musical arrangements on point, that's all good. The chorus vocals here, the level is good. But like in the verse here, I would maybe pull up the vocal just a little bit. But I would also like you may not even need to pull up the vocals. I would say maybe add a little more top end, some more clarity comes through. And then you could maybe even kind of like cut like some of the mid range, like not like the 1 to 5K range, but like 300, 400, 500 hertz somewhere in there, just to kind of get rid of the boxiness of like the mic you're using. And then I'd pull back the reverb on the verse vocal as well. I think the chorus is okay, but I'd pull back the reverb a little bit on the verse vocal there.
No he estado contigo, pero me vendo por verte. Camino lento para aguantar, camino sin rumbo cierto. Veo tu luz volver a brillar y juro voy a llegar a ti. Estaré rondando y en tus brazos gritaré cuánto te extraño. Esta vez, aunque el camino esté empinado, llegaré. Estaré rondando y en tus brazos gritaré cuánto te extraño. Esta vez, aunque el camino esté empinado, llegaré. Estaré rondando y en tus brazos gritaré cuánto te extraño. Esta vez, aunque el camino empiece a lastimarme, me desangre y me desarme. Con el sueño de alcanzarte iré. Esta vez, llegaré. Esta
Yeah, a few other things I picked out over here. One, the guitar solo tone, not a big fan of it. It's a little too shrill. It almost sounds like you plugged your guitar into a distortion pedal and then went straight into Logic with no amp. I would try to throw like an amp sim on there, something that's just going to warm it up and make it sound like there's a speaker, being used, like an actual amp cab being used. It's just a little shrill sounding. It's also kind of low in the mix. Some of the crash cymbals, they're like way over here and just in that channel. So I'd maybe bring those in a little bit. Maybe use the stereo pan if you're using Logic instead of balancing. And they're just a little loud. But otherwise, like the musical arrangement's on point. Just a few little mix changes, some things I'd do differently with the vocals, the guitar tone, and then those crash cymbals. So, and also pull up the rhythm guitar in the mix too. Okay, let's keep going. We are almost there. I know. Let's see. Looks So Good. We already listened to this previous week, and then L from Patrick Schutten. We also listened to. They both resubmitted it. So the last one left here is Waiting to Happen Part 1 by John Stringer. Well, what about Waiting to Happen Part 2? All right, let's give it a listen. So here's something I like a little tip I'll give you that a lot of people forget about. One of the things I do when I bounce my final mix or any mix is I leave a little bit of space before the first note. And it's for a couple of reasons. One, just because I think it sounds really disjointed to have the song start right on beat 1, especially if you're using like non-MIDI instruments, because when, the attack time it takes to strum a guitar or to play a note or to sing a note, there's a little lead up to it. It's never going to be perfectly on the bar line. And if you make it perfectly on the bar line, it's going to sound weird. The other reason is when you're like listening to a track in the car or on any system where Bluetooth is involved, sometimes there's a little bit of a buffer due to the Bluetooth latency. So you may play a track, and then when you're listening to it in your sound system, you may hear it like fade in because the system is fading it in to compensate, like it's almost compensating for like some Bluetooth latency. So I usually will leave like about a half second of silence or like a quarter second of silence before the first note comes in. So I would recommend doing that. Just a little simple thing there. something in this section here that's like kind of clashing. It's like there's two guitar parts that are like a little bit dissonant or something. Like they don't like either like take one part out or maybe pull it way down in the mix or maybe pan them or something, or maybe pan one of them off to the side. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Overall, the bass seems a little buried in the mix, and there's a couple little sections where the bass is, I think, doing too much. And then the rhythm guitars are really panned out, which is normally fine, but they're getting kind of lost in mono. And I also think the lead acoustic part could come up a bit. When, you know, I don't usually use, like these days, I don't usually use limiters on individual channels. But when I do work with like acoustic lead parts, I find that the dynamic range between like the softest note and the loudest note is really wide. And it sounds like you've got pretty good control over the lead part in terms of its dynamics, but I'll often throw like a limiter on a lead acoustic guitar part, because what I really need is I need like a 100-to-1 compressor. And what I'll do is I'll pull up the gain to get all the quieter stuff up to a level where I'm happy with it. And then I'll pull down the ceiling to get rid of any transients that are like poking out a little too much. Or you could use a limiter, just a really heavy compression, or not a limiter. You could use a compressor at a really heavy ratio and leave a little bit of attack for the transient to still come through. This sounds like a guitar feature to me, which is great, but I think the drums are too loud if that's the case. You know, if this is acoustic, like left and right rhythm, or left and right rhythm acoustics plus a lead acoustic plus a secondary lead acoustic, and then bass and drums, I'd put the drums a little bit further back in the mix there. I think it's making the guitars kind of fight for dominance. Yeah, cool stuff. Cool stuff. And that wraps up all I have time for today. Again, if I didn't get to you this month, if you submitted something and I wasn't able to go through it, again, the live streams, the listening live streams are still happening into 2025. They'll be every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And again, if you want if you want to increase the odds that your track gets heard in the stream, just, get your track in as early as possible. I pretty much go through them in the order that they're submitted for the most part. And usually on Wednesdays, sometimes if I'm late on a Thursday, but usually Wednesdays on my community page on my YouTube channel, I will have a link for that week, and that link changes every single week. So starting January, I'm not going to be doing any catch-up streams or any makeup streams. If I run out of time, you're just going to have to resubmit the following week. I'm sorry to do it that way. I wish I had time to get to all of them, but I'd have to do like a 4-hour, makeup stream, and I don't have the time to do that. So thank you all for coming to my little, closing out 2024 stream. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for the, continued support you've shown me over the years and this year. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe, and prosperous new year moving into 2025. Please be careful out there. Don't drink and drive. Don't drive if you drink too much. Get an Uber. Call a friend. Be careful. There's lots of crazy drivers out on the road the New Year's Eve, so be really careful. Be safe. And I will see you all back in the new year. And again, our next stream will be this Friday, January 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you so much, guys, for the support. I hope you enjoyed the stream. And once again, thank you for all of the continued support over the years. And thanks for watching. See y'all in 2025.